What's the most, "are you really that stupid?" thing you've ever heard? When I was in the army, I had a soldier that was a very good human being, but in no way, shape, or form a good fit for the military. He was clumsy and athletic. Watching him try to dribble a basketball was like watching Squidward try to dribble a basketball, and generally aloof. I tried to get people in my team to teach classes to the rest of the team. I found it helped them build confidence in their skills and taught everybody else stuff they might not know as well, so it was a win-win. For example, I had one person teach basic first aid. I had my saw gunner go over tearing his gun apart and cleaning it and putting it back together, etc. Basic stuff like that. I asked this private what he wanted to teach, and he's like, "I don't really know, Sergeant." I asked what he's good at, and he was like, "History? Or I could do a hacky sack." Again, a good guy, just aloof. Then he said the dumbest thing I've ever freaking heard in my life. And I once convinced another guy in the army that the Louisiana Purchase went bad and he was going to be French at the end of the month. That's another story, though. Back to Squidward. We had a dress uniform inspection every month. You get your Class A uniform ready, clean and pressed, medals on, brass polished, etc. Go outside in formation, wear it for about 15 minutes, and then do the whole thing over again the next month. The night before the inspection, I walked through my soldiers' rooms and inspected their uniform to make sure everything was in order and nothing was missing. I had to take another guy to an appointment 3 hours away. We were in South Korea. That morning, and 10 minutes before the inspection is supposed to begin, I get a phone call from Squidward and he drops this freaking bomb on me. "Sergeant, my pants don't work." "What the hell are you talking about? How the hell do they not work?" "I can't close them." "Did you get fat this month? I saw you wearing them last month. I saw you wear pants yesterday. What exactly is the problem?" "They're not working. I can't get them closed and I think my dry cleaner sewed my pockets upside down." "Hold up, your pockets are upside down? Are your pants inside out?" "I don't think so, Sergeant. I'm not that dumb." "Humor me in check." "Not inside out, I told you." "Okay, try putting your hands in your pockets and pushing them all the way down. Should I take the stuff out of them?" "Please do." "Whoa, Sergeant, it worked. My pants work again. I have to go, inspection and all." "I'm aware." Dude's pockets flipped upside down to the inside of his waistband and he had them so full of stuff that he couldn't close his pants. He was 21 years old. I'm still absolutely in awe that the army saw fit to give him a grenade launcher. Story 2. I've shared this before, but it remains, well, you'll see. The following exchange is offered verbatim, or as near to it as I can remember. Her: "That suit would look great on you." Me, checking the price. "Too bad I don't have $900. Her: "Just use your credit card." Me: "I still wouldn't have $900. Her: "What are you talking about?" Me: "I try to pay off my balance in full when I use my credit card. That's more than I can afford right now." Her, irritated: "That makes 0 sense. Nobody pays for credit cards. They give them to you." Me: "Not the card, the balance, the bill." Her: "What bill?" Me: "The credit card bill? The one you have to pay every month?" Her: "No, you don't." Me: "Okay, well, I guess you can make minimum payments, but..." Her, interrupting: "What are you talking about? You're making 0 sense. If you don't like the suit, just say so." Me: "I do like the suit, I just can't afford it. Using my credit card wouldn't magically make it so I wouldn't have to pay." Her: "You don't pay for credit cards. God, what is wrong with you?" Me: "Wait, do you mean that you've never paid your credit card bill?" Her: "There's no such thing. Credit cards are so you don't have to pay." It eventually came to light that the young woman had been given her credit card by her parents, who paid the balance for her whenever they received a bill. This revelation only occurred after I'd been accused of trying to make her feel guilty for buying sweatshop clothing, though I never did figure out where that connection occurred. Story 3. Senior year of college, or ROTC, we had a freshman come in who was a little out of shape and struggling to get through the end of PT that morning. He ended up working really hard to get into shape, and basically collapsed halfway through doing push-ups, reaching muscle failure. As I'm coaching him and helped him finish the workout, this new instructor, who only lasted a few months because everyone hated him, comes over and says, "Yes, that's what I like to see. You should be working for muscle failure every time you exercise." I had to smile and give a "Roger, sir," then pull the kid aside and explain to him that that's a stupid idea and a good way to get hurt. I seem to be answering or responding to a lot of the same questions, so I'll lay it out here. Muscle failure means pushing yourself to the point where you can no longer complete a rep of a workout. That's all right to occasionally do if you don't go as hard on the same muscle group the next week or can give yourself a longer recovery time, but it's really bad for you to do it every week or every workout. If every week you smoke your chest where you can't finish the last few reps of your bench press, then every week you're taking your chest to the extreme and not letting them recover fully. Muscle growth and strength building don't come from the weights you lift. They come from your muscles healing and recovering after a workout. Going to muscle failure constantly will actually stunt your growth and risk serious injury, such as muscle tear. A good rule of thumb for weightlifting is that your weight to sets to reps ratio should be the point where your last 2 reps of a set are the hardest ones, where you really have to dig deep to finish out, but not to the point where you can't do them at the end of your final set. I had a PE teacher yell at my friend that if he never ran through the period where it feels like he can barely breathe, that he'll never develop good cardio. He has asthma. Story 4. My boss and I had to cover an event a few hours away, so we carpooled to the location. Now for a little backstory, I'm decently traveled. My parents made it a point for us to go on vacation every year to a new national park or outdoors destination, usually traveled by car. My boss was born and raised in the same town we work in. She only leaves the city to visit family in New York City, which is about 1.5 hours away. Back to the story, so we're driving from Mass to Western VT, and once we get off the highway, there's nothing but farms everywhere. She's literally amazed by all the green grass, trees, horses, cows, etc. Like, alright, a little odd a 30-year-old is amazed by this, but she did grow up in the city, so whatever. We were stopped at a railroad crossing for like a good 5 minutes, and she's complaining about the holdup, so I explained this is 100% normal and really isn't a big deal. While we were sitting at the crossing, she notices a sign that says how far towns are from the current location, like Burlington 8, Dover 15, etc. Well, one of the towns had the same name as a town close to where we were traveling from. She says, and I quote, "This is a really roundabout way to get to Ludlow. I mean, you can just take 291 for like 5 minutes and you're there." At first, I was like, she has to be joking. She can't seriously think that we're in Ludlow, Massachusetts. So I respond with, "I think that sign is for Ludlow VT." She goes, "I didn't know that multiple states can have the same town names. Isn't that confusing for the postal service?" At that moment, I realized I work for an idiot. Story 5. So I was at a store where they happened to sell board game stuff, and I saw that they sold a pack of dice for $2. Just a pack of regular 6-sided dice, nothing strange. I leaned over to my girlfriend and told her that we should buy it, because we needed dice for a card game we were playing at the time, and she was like, "I don't know, $12 seems like a lot to spend on dice." I was a little confused and thought that she must have misunderstood the pricing, so I said, "Babe, it's $2, not $12. And she replied, "Well, obviously it's $2 per pack, but we need to buy 6 packs. Even more confused, I asked, "Why would we need 6 packs?" She furrowed her brow and said, "Because we need both a pack of 1s, a pack of 2s, a pack of 3s, a pack of 4s, a pack of 5s, and a pack of 6s. We stood silently for like 2 seconds and then I asked, "Babe, do you not know how dice work?" Then it clicked for her and she was super embarrassed. Story 6. Ever hear of those crappy free online IQ tests? My friend took one of these, but the one she took was even worse than the regular ones. It was obviously not a valid IQ test and probably made by either a 12-year-old, a drunken person, or a drunk 12-year-old. Anyways, one question was, "What is your favorite food out of these 4?" Which was already a really bad question. I didn't think it would get worse until I saw, "What do you think of the iPhone?" I don't remember the 4th option, but out of "I love the iPhone, it's good technology, and what's an iPhone?" the smartest choice was "What's an iPhone?" Ridiculous. Your IQ is higher by being ignorant of the world around you. Anyways, to the main point, she got a high score and put it on her resume. I unfortunately can't find the IQ test. That IQ test sounds like a survey to me. Your friend was tricked into filling out a survey. Also, speaking of surveys, which button would you press? The like button or the subscribe button? You pick. Anyways, story 7. A few that comes to mind. My mother once years ago said, "Cats are cold-blooded because they like to lay in the sun." We immediately said, "What? No, did you go to school?" 4 or 5 months ago, she doubled down on this, stating the exact thing for the exact reason. I told her, "Are you cold-blooded because you like to sunbathe?" She still thinks cats are cold-blooded. Also, I was driving with my mother on a pitch-black night. My mother said the stars weren't out because there was no moon for them to reflect off of. In high school, when this girl found out prisoners used to be sent to Australia, she said, "That's stupid. They could just swim back to Europe." In high school during global studies, we were talking about South America and this chick asked which country was Africa. Even being told it's a separate continent and shown on the map, she continued to argue for 20 minutes saying it was a small country in South America. When I worked at a call center, someone said Q for cucumber to me. From a customer, "How do you type a capital 4? Girl I used to date was convinced that used cars came with insurance. We went out to look at cars for her one weekend and on the way to the first lot, it came up in conversation. She absolutely did not believe me to the point that it was almost an argument. Salesman told her the same thing, so she demanded we go to another dealership. We visited 4 dealerships that day and all of them told her the same thing. Relationship didn't last much longer, but earlier this year she was pulled over and arrested for a litany of offenses including a DUI, but surprise, she had no auto insurance. I work at an animal shelter, and a woman asked me if we had any dogs that didn't poop. I told her no, all dogs poop. So she asked about cats. Blowing balloons up with my own air, no gas, etc., with my wife prior to a party. Wife: No, don't blow the balloons that fall to the floor. Blow up the floating balloons. Me: look of disbelief. What? You need to use helium for that. Wife: No, you're just not bothering, that's what it is. That last one. Dude, stop being a jerk, just blow helium for her. Can your lungs not create that? Story 8. My sister's friend, who is 22, believes that while you fly in an airplane, once you're in the air, you just levitate there and the earth rotates under you. When the plane is over the destination, the plane lowers again and that's what happens. She wants to be a teacher. A woman once asked if Antarctica was really hot because Mexico is south of us and it's really hot, and other countries are south of us and they're really hot too. This woman is 40 years old. My friend thought due to time zone differences between the US and the UK, you could place a bet in the UK on an NFL game that had happened in the US and cheat the system because it hadn't happened yet in the UK. A previous coworker of mine thought that when looking at images of hurricanes, what she was seeing was the ocean swirling and not clouds. She had a bachelor's degree. I once heard a girl say that she doesn't believe in miscarriages. Another good one is that if she asks if something's gluten-free, she asks, "Is that gluten?" Meaning the exact opposite. She also said she's going to become a Navy SEAL. She's not in the Navy. We were out of state and she said, "Oh wow, wild cows." They were not wild cows. I remember sitting in a World Civ class in high school and a girl in my class asked how people outside of the US lived, since they were in a desert. The teacher tried to have her clarify which deserts, to which the girl responded with, "The one outside the US." She was convinced that every single nation outside of the US was comprised solely of deserts and that any major cities she had heard of, i.e. London, Paris, etc., were actually US cities. While on a really long car trip with my parents, we were discussing countries we'd like to visit. My mother said she'd like to visit Japan to see the Great Wall of China. My dad and I don't let her forget. Story 9. There's always a 50% chance of rain. Think about it. It will either rain or it won't, so that's always got to be 50%. Someone once asked me and my twin sister if we don't mistake ourselves for the other one. I like to think she was joking, but I don't think she was. During a Color War trivia game at summer camp, we were asked to name places the Olympics had been held. Someone mentioned Athens, and the girl next to me started to lose her mind laughing. I asked her why, and she responded, "Isn't Athens that place from Harry Potter?" 10 out of 10. I had a customer yell at me that their donuts were supposed to be buy one, get one free instead of half price. I had to explain how half plus half was 1. Never understood it and just sneered whatever at me and had me cancel their order. My friend wrote on the title page of his high school essay, S.A. Yeah, sounded out. Okay, so there was this mother that I once met. I'll call her Karen. So Karen is your typical MLM mom. She's in like 3 of them, including an essential oil one. One day her son gets sick. Instead of getting cold medicine or whatever, she feeds him essential oils. Of course, he gets sicker, so the school he goes to treats him right. After hearing about this, his mom said, and I quote, "Don't give him that. The big pharma chemicals will make him immune to the essential oils." My wife was telling her sorority sisters about how she was allergic to wheat. One of the girls responded with, "Why don't you just eat white bread instead then?" What do you think it's made of? White? Story 10. When I was in high school history class, this dumb-as-a-brick girl asked our teacher, who was from the South but we weren't even remotely close to the South, still no excuse, if she'd ever owned a slave. This middle-aged woman I work with at a fast food place was drinking a glass of super sweet tea when these words came out of her mouth. My doctor said that I may have diabetes. I don't understand how. I never eat sugar. Meanwhile, watching a semi-friend do 10 separate ATM transactions, why are you taking out $200 from the ATM in $20 increments? You're just adding up to the $2.50 fee. Semi-friend, it all adds up in the long run. Me, no, it adds up to you wasting money. Semi-friend, no, trust me, it adds up. Adds up to what? Maybe they thought they were getting $250 instead of paying for it. Story 11. While discussing taking a girls' trip and going on a cruise, my friend once said, I think it would be pretty easy. We could just get a cruise out of Dallas. Everyone paused. Her husband then broke the silence with, that is our marriage summed up into one sentence. World history class in high school. This girl really asked how we won the American Revolution when the Germans had airplanes. I had to remember to breathe. I actually just posted about this a couple days ago. My grandpa's cleaning lady was making fun of me for believing that the ozone layer exists. She laughed out loud at me and said, then how do the rockets take off from Earth without crashing into it? And continued to laugh and make fun of me for it for a good 10 minutes straight. I was so baffled that I just let her go on. Former coworker of mine and I were walking through a department store during the holidays. There's an area dedicated to ugly sweaters and one had the Star of David all over it. My coworker points to it and says, oh, isn't that sweater for that Jewish holiday? What's it called? The Holocaust? I wish her the best. When I worked at a chemical facility, we had a genius production supervisor who figured out that you could increase the RPMs of the mixer without overheating the batch if you just remove the mixing blade. So it's just a shaft rotating inside a drum of viscous liquid. Then he blamed the guy running the QA testing, me, when the batch failed badly. Worked with someone who would say, "It's Friday somewhere," unironically on Tuesdays. I think I found my new catchphrase. Story 12. My family and I were watching a program on TLC about cavemen. There were actors dressed up like cavemen doing caveman things, as the narrator explained the scientific theory around what they thought their lives were like. My sister was just in awe watching this, mouth slightly open, eyes open wide. During a commercial break, she asked the room, "How did they get the cameras back then?" We will never let her forget that she said that. Here's some common answers for questions people have asked. No, she was not baked. She was about 16 when she said this. The moment she said it, she knew she said something stupid. Tried to backpedal, but the damage was already done. Yes, back a long time ago, TLC actually did have educational programming. I have no idea what documentary it was. Story 13. Girl at uni didn't know chips were made from potatoes. When asked if they used potatoes and the bags didn't give it away, she said she thought it's only for design and she never reads the ingredients list. She doesn't have time for that. Explaining to a coworker that Africa is a huge continent with dozens of countries, and no, you can't drive there from America. A few years ago, I was traveling in Kenya, and a few of us shelled out for a safari. Our guide was great and at one point said all the names for the animals in Swahili. Simba is lion, for example. An American then asked, "Did you always call them that, or did you decide to change it after The Lion King came out?" I really wanted to apologize to the tour guide at that moment, or to respond with respect to that guy. Employee looking in box where we kept the name tags. Which one is my name tag? I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you made it this far, I'm sure you'll also enjoy. What's your "this person is on another level of stupid" story? Story 2 is wild. See you on that video.